Hello, hello, hello! Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on the Sunless Sea. So, for tonight's agenda, we have got finishing off the submarine. We've got to explore the Carnate. We're generally going to go down the bottom left-hand side of the map and see what's going on there. We've also got a couple of drops at Polythreme. It looks like the Gant Pole. And station 3 with a long copper box if we can get one. But ideally we're going to be getting the submarine, exploring the map and seeing what the Carnate is all about, because we popped into Khan's Shadow on the last episode but we didn't really get a chance to meet the wonderful people of the Carnate. Lovely stuff. So a quick look at... Hi my man, good to see you. We got fuel, we got food. I did all the stuff, all the prep work beforehand, so I'm just going to grab some supplies. I'm going to head out. I have got a lot of people to speak to. We'll do that on the way. My R1 button is broken, so I am having to manage around it by not using R1. Thankfully this is a game where that's not too much of an issue, but there's a couple of games I can't play right now because I don't have an R1 button. Let's get back on the road, or the sea. We're going to be exploring down this way, Port Carnelian, and then up to the Carnate. Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Crab boy around here, baby crab boy. But it seems all quiet. So let's go hug the coast and get some exploration points in. Almost. There's the little crab man. We go for the crab man. Megalops defeated. With a forlorn and wailing cry, the Megalops turns on its back, leaps Legs neatly folded as bluish blood gouts from its wounds. The golden glow begins to dim. So we're going to dissect it for knowledge. A crab full of conundrums. You set to work with your knives and acids. It is a undistinguished adolescent specimen, a megalops of one of the deep sea crab species. But its eyes, normally vestigial in those troglodytic beasts, are large and rather beautiful. The golden glow is almost gone now, although sparks leap now and then to your knife. I guess there's some more fragments. Fragments add up to secrets. Secrets allow you to improve your stats. Again, I've not really been doing that, so I really should raise some of my stats this round. This go round. But we have discovered the Chameleon Canal. Chameleon. The problem is this game uses a lot of big words that I have never heard said out loud, so I just butcher the pronunciation. Port here, Geodes Harbour. Chameleon Canal staging area. Here the dark waters run down from the surface from a brighter sea. The canal ascends through locks and gates and shadowed turns to the sunlight of the surface. So this will allow you to go up to the surface, the kind of normal world, but since all you've ever known is the kind of Neath and the fallen London, it takes a lot of work and it does harm you. So we can go up there if we had 22 fuel, which we don't have. We've got a lot of fuel, but I kind of need a bigger ship to do it. We can listen for surface gossip. The ships of the surface linger here. This is their lifeline to the warmer place. I get our support report. Daylight. This would be prime spot for a pub or wine shop, but the interests of the Echo Bazaar and the laws of London prevent it. They don't like competition. Still, there are temporary, half-legal hostelries in long-moored ships. Here you trade stories with suntan surface sailors, stories of Paris and Bratislava, the lost fires and final isles. And that gets us a vision of the surface, which we can use in Venderblight. That wasn't a port report, I'm mistaken. So we can gather information for a port report. Many ships pass this way, but perhaps you'll pick up something they missed. The gates remain open and shut. Ooh, business as usual. The gates open and shut. The locks remain free from sabotage. If anywhere besides London is safe in all the Underzee, it's here. The surface nations have an interest in keeping the way open. So that gives us a perfunctory port report. I think you can also buy fuel and supplies here, but again they're about the same price as London, to be fair. So I think the supplies is a bit much. 20 in London, 30 here. But you can stock up here if you need be. I am alright for now because we're trying to save up to get a bigger boat. So we're going to head on from the Chameleon Canal and see what lies further south. You have to excuse me, tonight's tipple is Rattler Cider because I may have run away from Somerset, but I can't run away from my roots. Vortex over there to discover. Adam's Doom. Well, that's not foreboding. And we've discovered the Iron Republic. There's a big boy ship over to the right, so I'm going to stay away from him. Another big boy ship, okay. Iron Republic, Hell's client state. Be wary, their laws are not the laws of man or nature. Factory engines roar like false lions, blood thunders in the dock pipes. Crimson lightning skitters across the deck, leaps to the rail, curls there like a cat. The city is reflected in glassy, calm harbour water. The citizens there have the heads of dogs and serpents. Hell has brought freedom to the Iron Republic, freedom from all laws, even those of nature. So we could listen, but I do not have nearly enough terror for that option. We have an option to pick up a crew member, the irrepressible cannoneer. Captain, are you looking for a gunner? I'm looking for a ship. Here are my references. Here are more references. Here's my design for a whistling shell. Here's my colleague. He'll stay on shore. Where's my... Oh, here's my hand. Will you take it? We've got a full crew at the moment, but he's only 20 echoes, and if you're not using them, they can just kind of sit in your journal. So I'm going to pick him up for now, and then do something with them along the lines down the road. Welcome aboard. Oh, this is interesting. Room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. Wait, let me make notes. Paper. And we've picked up an irrepressible cannoneer, whose cheery enthusiasm is welcome, but unnerving trait in a gunner. Blah, 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 blah. What else have we got? We have got the Market of Hungers. We can compile a port report. We can fund a Tittering Artificers project, but we do not have any Stygian Ivory or Devil Bone Dice. Okay. So we'll go with the port report first. It won't entirely be straightforward. The streets won't lie straight, and the ink freezes whenever you look away from the inkwell. The sensations of the Republic are overwhelming. This is a desire for years. That is a hatred for fountains. Here is an emotion that can only be expressed mathematically. Now you are awash with a nostalgia for the hatching of the egg. Write it down. Write it all down. Perhaps you'll be rid of it. So we got a port report, but that actually cost us hearts, which is kind of like your strength or health. The Parliament of Flies is now open for business. I've gained a tale of terror and a memory of distant shores. So we'll have a quick look at the shops, because the Market of Hungers will allow us to buy fuel for dirt cheap, it seems like, yeah. The market always sells fuel. Use a market story choice for more goods. So we'll stock up to 20 fuel just because it's dirt cheap. We will investigate the Market of, or the Parliament of Flies. The Market of Hungers with its spires and sigils. Is it a parody of the bazaar? Today it flies fill its arcades. Buzz, buzz. The Merc folds. Visit the shops tab. So that gains us a little bit of terror, but that opens the House of Pleasures. The flies will caress you with their wings. Hurry up and purchase something. So you can see that gets us a bunch of stuff now we can do. We can pick up some parabola linen here. A dread surmise, which they're selling for 9 searing enigmas, okay. A judgment's egg, which costs a colossal fluke core, which is a drop from a big bad. Scintillac, which I could probably get some at the Port Carnelian, but I don't have any for now. And romantic literature, which is taxed in London. But there's not much else we can do at the Iron Republic for now. I am going to speak to my first officer though, and ask him to increase my mirrors. I'm sorry, it's the pain. No, This is what you wanted, I think. He is eager to instruct you like a drowning man striking for air, but he struggles to put words to his understanding. Does his sigil give him his insights, or is it old learning he has failed to forget? So that gets us a 1 to mirrors, and we've lost a secret down to 27. We can invite him to dine with us. It costs some supplies, so I'm not going to do that just now because I want all the supplies I can, but that does open up the kind of quest line to find out his backstory and kind of help him. Like Mass Effect or a lot of our other RPGs, each of your crew members has like a loyalty mission. You get to know them and then they'll ask you to do something or you know, gather some things. We're already doing that for, what is his name? Fucking engineer boy. The tireless mechanic who wants us to go to Hunter's Keep with a bunch of stuff. See, I could try to shag him if I had more pages. I could try and allow him to sleep if I had a serpent trap, which I do not have. I'll have a quick look, see if anyone does hearts. You do hearts. To be edible is to be possible to be consumed, and to be living is to be consume. Thus we find that the nature of the unliving is to be consumed. In fact, therefore, anything that is not living may be consumed, and that gets us our heart back that we lost getting the port report. I will actually do that a couple of times because I wouldn't mind getting up to 30. Yeah, that works better for me. And the doctor, the haunted doctor. He wants to chat, but it all requires supplies, and I'm too stingy for that now, and he's a heartsman. We've got our gunnery officer who will do iron. But it might hurt me, so I'm going to leave that one for now. We have got Maybe's daughter. She will do veils. I'll take veils up to 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. And we've also got the genial magician who will do veils as well. And the gunnery officer, I'm guessing, is also going to do iron, but risk damaging my ship. So yeah, we're not doing that right now. Onwards! We'll keep heading south. As you can see, we're just skirting the coastline, heading down south, and then we'll head right to Port Carnelian. And get this submarine modification done, because that will allow us to go underwater, which is a whole separate map. It's obviously the same map, but you're underwater. But there's new towns, new enemies, general kind of. It was originally DLC in the PC version, but for the consoles they did just kind of slap it all together. So at least you don't have to pay for anything extra on the console version. There was some abandoned DLC that they were going to finish, but there's a bit of a history with this game and its creator, so it kind of got abandoned, unfortunately. It's a shame, because I would happily have bought some DLC for this game. Like Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, it's a game that deserves the money. Chugga, chugga, chugga. Came on deck to find the metal sharp with sparks, ozonal coronas. And we've discovered the Grand Geodes some way to the southwest. Well, that's a big boy boat. So any boats that glow like that, you want to stay well away from, because they will mess you up. Run Shimi Port, which is a wasteland. Hoggerton's Bluff. I think this is a dead end. Yeah, that's a dead end. It's getting crystally. Oh, whiffed it. And we've discovered the Dawn Machine. No, I didn't want to do that. Oh no! Oh, whoa, 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 whoa! The sun, the sun, the sun, the sun, the sun. Almost got mangled by the big machine. That's not what I was doing. So there's a lot of lore about the Dawn Machine, but we'll see if we come across it. You can theoretically get past it, but I'm not keen on trying just now. Grand Geode just to the north. We'll try and pop in there, although the Grand Geode tends to be guarded by a couple of big boy ships, so I will avoid it if possible. The ships, that is, not the Grand Geode. I'm happy to go to Grand Geode. I quite like Grand Geode. It's weird, I like it. Grand Geode, a distant song like a mirage. A naval base with the Royal Navy's emblems curiously amended. Efficient, bright-eyed women and men work briskly everywhere you look. They are singing hymns with unfamiliar words. Hard-faced Royal Marines watch you carefully, barring entry to the Geode's heart. A plaque by the docks has been defaced with orange paint, but you can still make out the original inscription. Station V, adjunct. So we can ask to speak with someone in authority. What is this place? A blank space in your memory. You saw the Commodore, and then there was something bright. You discussed matters of importance. You're certain of it. Teasing clues linger in your memory. A sailor asked to stay behind, and you permitted it because it'll all come clear later, probably. So that's gained us 25 terror, an extraordinary implication, and we have lost a crew, so we're down at we're down at 6. That's not good. And that's all for now. You have one times memoirs of sunstroke and the light. It's pretty. Compile a port report. Does the Admiralty know or want to know? Take discreet notes. The Marines are watching. And then we've got a bunch of quests that we can't do yet. So we could purchase an element of dawn from the Commodore with 50 supplies, vital intelligence, need more crew, and yeah, basically we can't do it. We've got the ask the Commodore for a defense against sunlight for Eastfall. That requires a bunch of stuff, which again we do not have. We can engage an officer, the Carnelian Exile. A dark spectacled woman marches up to you in some haste. Captain, take me with you. I am no longer welcome here, and I will show you where we need to go. So we can recruit her for nothing, it seems like, so it would be fools not to. Here I am. A ship, I suppose, is both always here and never there, because there becomes here. And we've got the Carnelian Exile. Soft-spoken and little mystical. How much does she see? There's no shops here. So we will move on from the Grand Geode, but I have to remember there's a lot of things we can do if we have a lot of supplies down this way. If we want to work on the goal of making a colony at Asterfall, then we will need protection against the sunlight that's bathing it, and so we'll have to come back to the Grand Geode. But that's end game stuff. We're still very much, excuse me, we're still very much in the early stages of this playthrough. I've not even died yet, which is surprising. I'm terrible at this game. Good old Port Chameleon, where we can get this boat turned into a boat submarine. Oh, there's a big boy lurking over to the left there. Be a mustache, I believe they're called. The hidden workshop. On the shore of Gloomy Inlet stands a rickety factory. Once, and supposedly still, it was committed to the cutting and polishing of sapphires. Now it is the place where the fierce philanthropist houses her intrepid staff of engineers, the ingenious men and women who will convert your ship into a submarine. So we can complete phase 2. You brandish the pilfered sonar schematics. The engineers cheer. They set to work immediately. Your ship is docked at the workshop and concealed beneath a set of awnings. Beneath, hammers ring, drills whir, mechanics argue, reconcile, improvise. From the outside, your ship looks largely unaltered, but inside, anew pipes gleam. A satisfying lever stands by the helm, surrounded by an array of mysterious gauges and dials. This extends the shell hull, a weary engineer explains. Don't pull it out until you're at sea, eh? The fierce philanthropist offers you a sherry. We've done it, she says. To your new journeys, Captain, wherever they may lead. If we trade this ship for another, our chief engineer will automatically apply the submarine conversion process to the new vessel. Future captains can obtain a submarine conversion by returning to Port Carnelian. They will not have to repeat the quest. So once you get the submarine, you don't have to worry about it. You can die, you can lose everything, and have to start with a new captain. And all you have to do is get your ass down here, and you can turn it into a submarine. So we have got restless nights. In the watches of the night, you pad softly past the hatch to the crew quarters. A man cries out softly in his sleep, desperately, another. So we can choose to ignore them, or we can inquire about their dreams. We don't have high enough pages to really pull that off, so we're gonna ignore that guy for now. The captain can't be seen to take these things seriously. Silence at the breakfast table. The crew is subdued. The crew is subdued as they take their meals, but all is quiet until the next watch. Alright, so we can now do submarine stuff. We are going to reduce our terror, though. It will cost 20 echoes, but we'll visit Murgatroyd's Imperial Tea Shop to get rid of a bit of terror. Home away from home. They import the doilies from London, but the tea is local, blue and smoky. The crumpets are warm, the tablecloth's white. You could almost imagine you were back in Vale Garden, except for the tiger lounging on a divan. It laps tea from an azure bowl and complains about the recent nostalgic trend in poetry. So that's only lost us 5 terror for 20 echoes. Not great, but we need to get rid of some of it. So we can call at Hart's Cross House, or we can talk to a tiger in the Blue Bazaar. Now, we popped into Hart's Cross House previously, so we're going to talk to the tiger this time. The Carnelian coast's padding natives are eloquent, placid, and acerbic most of the time. The Blue Bazaar is Port Carnelian's great indoor market, arched, lofty, plush, with patterned carpets where the vendors display their wares. Most of all, awash with gossip. The tiger is well informed. A black-hulled carnate trimarine prowled the coast last night, a rifle shot from shore. Shipments from the sapphire mines have slowed. The governor's aid was left-handed on Tuesday and right-handed on Wednesday. That gets us a port report and a couple of fragments for our troubles. So we can still not got a good chance for panning for sapphires. We can assist a specialised collector. A dapper gentleman lounges by a shoot of flowers, admiring butterflies with a predatory gleam in his eyes. Would you help him find the quarry of a lifetime? Alright. A man of pins and the jar. With a satisfied nod towards your ship, the incomparable Aurelian slips the butterfly into a killing jar. He explains the vibrant orange wings beat against the glass. You've been beneath the waves, I see, and I trust you've seen tyrant moths as well. Fine creatures, but nothing compared to the regal kin, the most moth. I know where to find it, and with your ship we can see it hatch. He gazes down at the butterfly, now still. Take me down to the Undercrow, and I'll show you something worth preserving forever. And that gets us a incomparable Aurelian quality of 1. I kind of want to visit the tea shop again to get rid of a bit more terror. It takes us down to 900 echoes. I'll do it. It's 57, so we're down to about half terror. And I think we've got enough supplies to make the run to the Carnate. It's just, yeah, it's just up there. Alright. What we will do is give the submarine a try. So I'll just get out into the open ocean, and then we will see what this mother lover can do. Let's go underwater, baby. Some distance to the northeast. Okay. So instead of your bats, you've got sonar, which will kind of ping us to see if there's anything interesting. Ooh, a ghoul. A ghoul. Into this place. A place that looks like a giant spiky butthole. A ghoul. A ghoul. The station is pinned to the surface of a ghoul. The station is pinned to the surface of a ghoul. Once it was a roving vessel, the Fortis Kettle, and floated freely on from place to place. Now it is stuck on spines of fluke rock. So we could bribe the first mate if we had some solace fruit. We could get that from Mangrove College, that's quite close. Or we could assemble a port report. The Admiralty would find this a curious place. You gather a description of the Fortis Kettle and a survey of its resources. You scrape away a little of the sealant, the colour of amber and the texture of wax that keeps the seawater where the hull is pierced by the spines of a ghoul. You sketch the arrangement of decks and hatches. So far you have been able to reach, but about the population you cannot offer as much detail. The tomb colonist declines to be identified, and the travelling postman laughs at you. So is there a little shop here? There it is, okay. So we could buy some tomato components. They want some wine, fruit, coffee, salt. They will sell some supplies. Fuel's not too bad. I'll get a couple more fuel. We are down to 881 though, and supplies are 11. We've only got 6 crews, so that should be fine. And we're going to head on from a ghoul. A ghoul. A rigid claw rises from the seabed. A colossal crab lies half buried in the sand. It's only recently dead. Succulent flesh nestled in its brittle shell. So we've got 26 chance of success. I'm not going to risk that for a biscuit. Ooh. Permission to dive. The Unsettled Salvager has requested a diving suit so that she may descend and find Lady Black, a spirit understood to dwell in the abyssal deeps. You could grant her permission and a diving suit and allow her to swim into that blackest black, or perhaps you could bring her back to London and commit her to the Royal Bethlehem Hotel. So I'm going to let her dive. I had the option to give her to the hotel when I was in London, and I want to see where this goes. I've not done this questline before, so give your permission to the Unsettled Salvager to dive. It is what she wants. You help the Salvager don the heavy diving suit. The two of you are alone in storage. Your crew has refused to be present. Once dressed, the Salvager clanks into the airlock. She holds her hand over her heart as you seal the door. With the pull of a heavy lever, you release her into the abyss. You watch her through a porthole. After 7 minutes, she grows perfectly still. After 14 minutes, the waters grow turbid, and she vanishes from sight. At exactly 21 minutes, someone knocks on the airlock. You throw the lever to drain it, and rush to unseal the door. Inside is an empty diving suit, tangled with kelp. Ancient axes and adases, discoloured by salt, are caught in its strands. The Unsettled Salvager is never seen again. So that gets us our outlandish artifact, and she has disappeared into the sea. We are going to return to the surface though, because it's kind of dangerous under the water, and I ain't fucking with that. I ain't messing with that. So where are we? We found a ghoul, and we're heading up to Khan's Heart and Khan's Glory. So we'll stay above the water for now, just because I want to get some of this black explored. But it shouldn't be too far, and then we might have to pop back to London to try and get rid of some terror, because terror is going to start to be a real problem soon. If you get terror reach 100, you'll go mad, and that could be very likely going to be the end of your run as that captain. The captain will die. Like I've mentioned before, your captain will die, but this is kind of like a roguelike game, so you will respawn as another captain or a descendant of the captain. The map will be re-randomized, everywhere will reshuffle, other than the coastlines around the three edges of the map. Discovered. You can tell when something's not discovered because it's in kind of shadow, and then when you flash your lamplight on it, it will kind of be illuminated as it was just now. Station 3. I don't have a Soothing Copper long box, so I can't do any of the quest line that's there, but we can pop in and get a quick port report, I believe. Can we? No, we can't. Okay, I was mistaken. We can get a port report here. Boo. Straight onto the Carnate then. So, like I say, London isn't the first city to fall into the underworld, the Neath as it's called, and it's the 5th city. The Carnate is based from the 4th city, which, if you haven't guessed by the name and the general kind of horse theme is meant to be Khartoum, the capital of the you know, the Khans, the Mongols. So it's an interesting little culture kind of clash between them and the kind of Victorian Londons of fallen London. There's a little bit of a Cold War going on, but we're exploring the Khanate and see what their deal is now. London's rival. Khan's heart, London's rival, an oasis of light in the salt's black wastes. Canals thread the painted city, street lamps glow and water taxis putter. A panicked wave, there's someone in the shadows trying to draw your attention with equal parts discretion and desperation. So we can see what that's about. The impolite investigator shakes your hand with extreme vigour. Good day, Captain. When do you leave port? Can your ship outrun the Khan's best? Not that you'll have to, but it's comforting to know that if you could. Take his hint, he needs to escape and you can get him away. I'll welcome myself aboard. Where is my bunk? He heads up the plank before you. He continues talking, expecting you to keep up. The Carnagians didn't seem to like me asking questions. Not many people do. It's maybe unpopular in most ports, but there's still one I haven't tried. Could you take me to Hideaway? It's beneath the waves on the back of a gigantic beast. You cannot miss it. He's asked you to take him to Hideaway, so we're going to have to put Hideaway on the list now. And like he said, that is going to be a underwater settlement, so we will need to find that in our travels. We can seek a commercial license. The Carnagians dislike merchants and they dislike foreigners. Foreign merchants introduce paradoxons of antipathy. Perhaps insufficient bribes will buy your way into the Nephirite quarter. So we need a Nephirite ring for this, but we don't have one, so not here, surfacer. Surfacer? But the Carnagians have been generations underground, and to them, all Londons are surfacers. It seems you'll need to go to Khan's Glory, the nearby palaces of the nobility, to seek a license. We can have some time in the tea house, which will cost us 50 echoes. Copper Quarter offers comfort to foreigners, but the prices are, to put it mildly, mischievous. We can hire some crew for 30 echoes. Carnagians are wary of your people, but perhaps you can find someone. We can purchase fuel at an outrageous price, which would be 50 echoes for fuel. The Khanate merchants grin when they see you come in. An unlicensed foreign captain, they'll pick a price and triple it. Same with supplies. Foreigners are permitted to buy food in the Copper Quarter, but only poor quality in small quantities. And so you go from street vendor to street vendor, trying to purchase enough soggy smoked fish to feed your crew. Pay a storyteller for 5 echoes, I'll go for that. The storyteller's in the square of cedars wear brightly coloured caftan-like clothing with silk sashes, in contrast to the more sober and subterranean dress of the citizenry. For coin, even foreign coin, they'll sing epics of their nation's history. The Fall of Karakoram. The last great Khan of the surface was corrupt and foolish and cowardly. How fortunate we are that the leopard clan overthrew his line. Long may the leopard endure. He sold the Khanate's capital to the masters of the bazaar to satisfy his greed and escape battle. So Karakoram fell, so it came below the earth, to the long night of the Neath. 700 years ago, Karakoram stood where London now stands. You feel eyes on you. A woman in a white and gold uniform watches you closely. The loyalty service is suspicious of foreigners who want to learn Carnagian history. So now we have a slight menace from the guards. We've gained a vision of the surface, and we lost 5 echoes for our time. So anything else we can do here? We can do a port report for 50% chance. The Khanate generally assumes that all foreigners are spies or worse. It would be a shame to disappoint them, but might be dangerous to prove them right. So we're going to go for it. It's 50% chance. Rivalry between the Leopard and Eagle clans, the concerns about Chelonate raids, some appalling gossip about the traitor Empress back in London. Perhaps you shouldn't write that last one down, and move on quickly. The fellow in the corner has an informant's look. So we passed our Veils challenge, we gained slightly more suspicion, but we now have a port report for Khan's Heart. Lovely stuff. Is there any shops? No, because they're all trying to sell stuff in the menus. So we're going to head up to Khan's Glory and see what we need to do to get a ring to get cheaper prices in the Khanate. And whilst we're here, we will get some more fragments. Every time you discover something, as you can see in the bottom left corner, you'll get some fragments. Fragments add up to secrets. Secrets allow you to boost your stats, which are the numbers underneath each of our respective crew members. So we're doing alright for our stats. Could be higher, but we're doing alright for now. Khan's Glory, a place of stately isolation. Here are the palaces of the Khan and his court, each a fortress to itself. Sleek lords and ladies in belted robes breakfast on balconies. An unlikely antelope peeks at you from a park. Guns rotate easily on motorized gimbals. So we could offer a gift to the leopard, but we don't have any beans. We could petition for access to the Nephirite quarter. We could offer a gift to the Timon, but we need drowning pearls. We could plead our case with the Timon, but we need more favour with them. We can cruise past the clan's palaces. Khan's Glory has a steely beauty, but the clan lords are ever suspicious of spies, and those gun emplacements are vigilant. We try that and turn back. A Khanate gunboat passes in the harbour mouth twice. An officer in a red and gold uniform scrutinises you for a spyglass. Best save it for another time. So we're going to leave that for now. So, take a meeting concerning a matter of no importance. A servant of the Timon is missing. His loss is a danger. There is a place one doesn't speak of. Officially, a former servant of the Timon who did not engage in the gathering of strategic information did not disappear to the undersea port of Anth, which officially does not exist. At length you hear what this servant did not look like, and strict prohibitions against pursuing him. Officially, no one in Khan's Glory would have any interest, or be at all inclined to reward you with money and connections if you would go to Anth. They would not care for a report of the situation, or any information that he may be unable to bring home. So they want us to go to Anth. So that's another place on the list that's underwater. As you can see, once we get the submarine, then doors really do start opening up for you. And by doors, I mean fetch quests. But we could do with some coffee beans. How many coffee beans do they want for a gift for the leopard? 5. So, excuse me whilst I make my insane crazy person notes, because this is a game where you're gonna need notes. And of course no shops, because that is down in Khan's Heart, which we need to buy favour to get access to. So that is the Khanate. A bunch of Genghis Khan mother lovers who have been here 700 years and kind of settled in, shall we say. So we've still got a bit of fuel, a bit of supplies. So we're going to do a little run up past Port Cecil. See what that dot is there. Because now we've got a submarine, we can start exploring the locations we found that were underwater before, which would be all of these kind of little dots in the middle of nowhere. So that blue dot there, that blue dot there. The Gamp hole is there. I'm trying to see if there's any others. Oh, there's one there as well. Okay. So we swing by the salt lions after we do this one. Okay, that works. That's a good route. I get fucked up by the shark, mind. Oh dear. He's definitely seen me. Ooh, 10 damage. Quickly to Port Cecil, see if there's anything we can do whilst we're here. Rumpled convolutions of coral light the water, fill the water, glimmering with silvery light. The harder you look, the more you see shapes amid the chaos, almost as if they were sculpted. This one could be a crenellated castle, that one a horse's head. A neat little port huddles into the side of a coral island, prosaic imperial docks and houses tucked away in a baroque organic chaos. In that curious silvery light among the frozen chaos of coral, the scene has an unreal air of a pencil sketch, scrumpled and discarded. So we can do chess, but that is a 51% chance. Okay, we're going to get it a go. A loss. Your opponent shakes your hand. Time to go, she tells you. But don't worry, you'll be back. Her touch lingers. Her fingers are cold. So that gives us a little bit more terror. That's not great. We can gather intelligence. The older inhabitants of Port Cecil carry coral incrustations like a disease, splotched with silvery light. They like to go up to the limestone heights behind the harbour, to lay their heads against the pillars and towers, stare at the roof of the Neath, dream open-eyed. Sometimes they speak of things far away, the Carnate's work, the smuggler wars, the Fathom King's secrets. Perhaps it's not all invented. That gets us a port report. Not gonna chance the Scintillac. And we're doing okay for fuel and supplies at the moment, so head on straight up north and we'll see what this underwater... Oh, that moray is not looking nice though. In fact, I will run underwater. Can't get me, fucker! The impolite investigator's question. The impolite investigator approaches you smiling. Now we're safely submerged. I have a question, Captain. I've discovered that several crew members are attracted to you. Would you become intimate with any? If so, who? How would you engage? And why haven't you indulged yet? So I can refuse to reply, respond with a secretive smile, threaten to keelhaul him, or eye him angrily. I'm just going to respond with a secretive smile and let him draw his own conclusions. The investigator nods. That tells me everything I need. I know where to go to make follow-up inquiries, but before I go, I'd like some specifics. I already have some theories about your predilections. Would you confirm some of the details? Look, mate. I think anyone who follows me on Facebook knows my predilections. You don't need to ask. Earl Greyte, you are raiding with a party of 0. I admire your go. But welcome to the stream. I am am currently exploring in Sunless Seas. We've just got the submarine. Wow. Oh no! Oh no! Whoa! Absolutely not! Yeah, I'm seeing like 9 people now. So hello. Hello, welcome. I don't think I've had that being many people before, so it's appreciated. Yeah, I'm seeing 9 people on my screen now, so 12. So welcome everybody to the show. This is where I play Sunless Sea, a little known indie game, and I read out the words very badly. That horrible skittering noise you hear is a monster that I just ran away from, so I will try to be quick. The edge of Nook, a gap in this colossal sea monster's throat, has been forced open with thick heart metal beams. They strain under the pressure but hold. As you pass through, your submarine lights pass over a message carved in a floating piece of some unfortunate's hull. Beyond is Nook, beyond is freedom, beyond is... the rest is scratched out. So we can enter Nook. Water presses against the airlock door. The breathing and slivering of the beast give it a rhythm of a drumbeat. Oh well, you're building Fallen London in Sims 2, that's really cool. Yeah, no, I noticed there isn't many people, not many people have streamed this game or anything. It doesn't really get much attention. So I thought I'd give it a stream, you know, show some people this fun little indie game. I haven't played Sunless Skies yet. It has come out on console now. I think it's the Sovereign Edition. So I'm looking forward to playing that. But I figured I'd have one good run of Sunless Sea before I head into the Sunless Skies, because I'm fascinated with like the world building in this game. Is just chef's kiss. It's some of the best writing I have seen in a game for a long time. So I can only apologise when I read it out loud and I butcher the pronunciation of all these words that I've read but never had to say out loud before. Like I say, we're getting to Nook though, because that skittering, crunching noise is freaking me out as well. So it is very well deserved. Like again, it completely slipped under the radar for most people. I think it's like the total kind of perfect example of like a unknown indie game. Trespasser and freedom. You don your heavy diving suit and give the order to cycle the airlock. Water rushes in and you begin the slow swim down into the port. It soon becomes obvious that you are overdressed for the occasion. The people of Nook swim and breathe in the cloudy moor water with no apparent discomfort. Most are naked, with just a few clad in rotten rags that stream from their skin with no concern for modesty. No one will communicate with you, if they even can. Those who acknowledge your presence just laugh silently at your bulky suit and unnecessary air hose. You'll need a different approach. So we can descend naked into Nook. At least you're unlikely to run into anyone you know. You undress, every button, every stitch. The door opens. Ice cold water rushes upwards. Instinct holds your mouth shut. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, your lungs burn, holding in that last gasp of air. Your legs thrash, you can't hold it in, it escapes. You're choking on water, it forces its way into your lungs, the taste of burning salt suffocating every attempt to gasp, scream, or then, through the exhaustion and panic, you realise you're breathing. It's hard work, your lungs fight against the weight, but it's enough. You can tolerate it, at least for now. The liberal application of wine will make this process easier. In future, bring a cask. So it's always good to bring wine when you come to Nook, we are learning. I'm going to quickly compile a port report and then I am going to leave Nook for now, just because we need to get away from the unmentionable horror that lives outside and is chittering in my ear. Because it is deeply unsettling, and I apologise if anyone is also unsettled. Trust the first raid on my channel to happen when we have gross bug noises in the background. No one here has anything to hide, actually. No one here is hiding anything at all. A vile place, festering, acidic. No laws but those of tooth and claw, written in scars. Civilization? Impossible. Making tea would be a logistical impossibility. Yet the inhabitants seem content. Many have come here from London, the Khanate, the Presbyterian, abandoning cultured life for this tenuous existence. They grin, their mouths full of stolen flesh, or float naked and carefree. Many have nothing, and nothing to lose. A group of swimmers dart past, hunting gleefully. One squeezes your shoulder, companionably. You've never met her before. That gets us a port report. We've lost a tolerance for Nook water. So the longer you stay in Nook, the more it will affect you. And we've gained a taste of freedom for Nook. But we are going to swim upwards back. No, we're going to return to the submarine. That's what we're going to do. Better not leave the crew waiting too long. You swim into the airlock and alert the crew. Air flows in. You retch the last of the Nook water from your lungs. Breathe. Return to the crew. Air again. How refreshing. So Nook kind of works like in the film The Abyss, when they have like the liquid oxygen or whatever, and they have to kind of inhale liquid. The crew salutes you as you pass. Good, all is well. Anything that happened in Nook shall remain in Nook. And that's got us out of Nook. You can buy some stuff at Nook, so you've got some fairly cheap fuel, some standard price supplies. We can buy some Stygian ivory or torpedo components, but we don't need either for now. So, oh no, oh no, oh no, 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 oh no, oh god. Oh god, oh. Surface. Surface! Oh. So yeah, that is the eldritch horror that lives under the water, and one of the main reasons I don't like using the submarine in this game. It's terrifying. It's a big horrifying spider that lives under the water, and it will come for you. I believe there's a trophy for getting killed by it. I'm not sure if I've been killed by it yet, but I don't really want to because But yeah, so that took us down to 7 hull. We lost a crew member, so we're down to half speed. I was gonna attempt to go to another place, but we're going straight back to London, guys. I'm sorry. This is a trip that's been cut short by the Constant Companion, I believe it's called, is the name of that monster, which sounds far too cheery for what it is. But you know, now we're going to have to crawl back to London and hope we don't get into any fights, because we've got 7 hull left. Oh my days. Ooh, that generally has got my heart going a little bit. Oof. Like, dying is part of this game. Like, the game warns you when you load it up, like, do not expect your captains to die. You learn as you die. But my god, oof. Oof. I think I might have enough space to do a salt sphinx stone run, which is one of the little kind of trade routes that you can do in this game. Because on top of all the quests that you get given, there's quests at every location, there's quests from every crew member. You can also play it kind of like Sid Mead's Pirates, if anyone remembers that game, where you can just take supplies from one place to another and make a profit off the kind of price difference. There's also some set runs, like the Sphinx Stone from the Salt Lines to London, or the Clay Men from Polythrene to London. A lot of deliveries to London, essentially. We were going to pop into whatever is down there, but we will do that after we've hit back to London, because yeah, we're on thin ice. Anyone who has arachnophobia, I apologise for the horrible spider. I didn't realise he was that close in the menu. Normally when you go into like a port, whatever's hunting you will leave you alone. It will wander off or just get disinterested. I didn't realise that guy was not like that. Just looking to avoid this abyss as we head to the salt mines. Or is it a... Oh, it's just a canyon. Oh, that's great. I thought it was one of those swirling vortexes. As you can imagine, if you get stuck in a swirling vortex, you can't get out. Whereas this is just a gap into the abyssal horrors that is underwater. That's completely fine. Oh, jelly float. Oh no. Like, even a jelly float might fuck me up at this point. Light off. Don't see me, 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 don't see me. Come on. Oh no, he's... No. Ooh. Ah! Your ship flounders. There are screams, a flood of dark water, the unforgettable sound of a ship's spine breaking. Slip beneath the waves. You are gone, but you have provided for your hair. So one of the things I did do in my previous stream was get a wheel, and you will now see why I got a wheel. Your first captain is what died. Don't worry, these things happen. Explore boldly with your next captain. Choose a legacy to preserve something for your next captain. So this is my first death in this playthrough. So when you die, you get a bunch of stuff that you can carry over. The only thing that I can carry over, the legacy that I have unlocked, is a will, which is easy to get. You can just buy a will. All of these require various kinds of quests. So behold a ladyship, I believe that has something to do with Lady Black, though I'm not sure. Rise high and go east, I've never done that, but I assume it entails the Zeppelin in the Empire of Hands. Go north, that involves Mr. Sax and the Avid Horizon. The anarchists to prominence. I've not really met much of the anarchists or know what's going on. If you can form a relationship with someone in London and have a child. If you have a child, then this will carry on that one as well, and carry a lost sister to a homeland, which I believe might have something to do with the Adventurous or the Carnelian Exile. But again, I'm not great at this game. I've played a lot of it, but I'm not good at it. So I've never gone that far. So I can only pick one legacy. If I had a Scion, I would be able to pick two of these options here. But I can only pick one. So there's 50% of your iron value in one weapon, 50% of your mirrors value and 50% of your money. Veils and money, hearts in an officer, or pages in their chart. Now I am tempted to go with the chart because it means I won't have to find and explore everything again. We've got quite a nice location with like the salt lions and such, but that will leave us with no wealth, hardly any points in anything. No officers, no weapon. And part of this game is exploring the map, like finding the locations, kind of stuff like that. So in fact, I think I'm gonna go with Salvager. Will you let me pick Salvager? Okay, so that takes us to 438 echoes starting off. That's not bad. We will go back to... Oh, god damn it. Why did that jelly fleur turn up, man? So we're going to go with Salvager. And we're going to accept that legacy. So 3 decades ago, in the reign of Victoria, London was stolen by bats. Now it lies a mile beneath the surface. It was dreadfully inconvenient for everyone, but opened a vast black ocean to you. Welcome to the Underzee. Yeah, so I've said this before in previous streams, but the backstory to this game is Queen Victoria made a pact with a bunch of devils because Prince Albert died. And the price of that pact involved London being consumed by the earth and taken to a place called the Neath, which is a large cavernous space somewhere in the earth. There is also a large sea connected to the landmass, and that is the Underzee. You will see a lot of use of Underzee, Z instead of C. Why they didn't call it Sunless Sea, I don't know, but there you go. It's just a nice bit of flavour that kind of helps flesh out the world. And you know what, Fireflower Sims, I did not know that. But yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, that it would be a kind of combination of under and sea. I also didn't know Dutch. The Dutch word for sea was Z. You have to apologise. I have a little bit of a lisp. Take care of your teeth, boys and girls. Otherwise, you will end up with a lisp. But no, that is new information to me. So thank you very much for that. So we get to choose a past, or you can have a past wreathed in shadows. That just allows you to get straight out into the sea if you don't want to bother dealing with your character setup at the moment. But we can roll through the character setup. It'd be a good chance to show you guys what the beginning of this game looks like, because you kind of came in as I was getting messed up by a horrifying nightmare spider. So you've got a couple options. You've got a street urchin, a poet, a veteran of the campaign of 68, an ordained priest, a natural philosopher. I believe I went with the philosopher last time. So, a street urchin. Your urchin gang cast you out when you grew too tall. You took to sea rather than graduate to larger crimes. That last big score was enough to buy a ship. So that gives you a bonus to Veils, the skill of subtlety, and evasion. You can be a poet, educated and articulate. You seek sensation at sea. How lucky you had a legacy to spend. Your long-vanished father had a rich patron, it seems. That gives you a bonus to pages, the skill of trickery and knowledge. So pages is kind of your intelligence stat, if you will. You've got the option for a veteran of the campaign of 68. You fought in the invasion of hell. London's armies lost. You survived. Your loot and your pension have brought you a command. So that gives you a bonus to iron, skill of causing direct damage. So again, I compare that to kind of strength in a normal RPG kind of framework. Or you have an ordained priest. You fell from grace. There is nothing left ashore for you. An anonymous benefactor has found a way out for you. Perhaps at Z you can overcome your appetites. That gives you a bonus to hearts, the skill of healing and morale. So I kind of equate that to charisma if you're using a kind of D&D or... I'm biased because I play a lot of Fallout, so a charisma stat, if you will. And natural philosopher, your peculiar theories on time, blood, and starlight brought you down to beneath the cavern where London lies, and now they take you out to Z. And that gives you a bonus to mirrors, the skill of detection and perception. So again, that's your perception kind of awareness skill. I think we're going to go with veteran of the campaign of 68. Because again, in the kind of backstory of the game, London fell in 1868. There was a kind of... It's seen as an invasion by the residents of the Underzee, and you fought for on London's side and lost. So we'll go with that just because it gives us a bonus to iron. It gives us a bit more oomph when fighting enemies, which, as you see, we kind of need because we got messed up. Stern and exacting, they will not trifle with you. You promised a job to your acquaintance, the shady cook. He'll do until you find someone less disgusting. Talk to him to find out why he went to Z. Hello, Plays with Piglets. It's nice. You've picked the perfect time to join. I just got beaten up by a jellyfish, and I've had to restart on my game. Yeah, it's really rare to see people... Hardly anyone streaming this game, and I am low-key obsessed with it. So if I can get a couple of people interested, if I get a couple of people thinking, oh, I'll give that a shot, then I'm a happy man. Because like it's a really, I wouldn't call it a niche title. It's just a very under advertised, under promoted, under exposed game, if you will. You can try and learn some hints from me, but like I say, I've played a lot of this game, but I will not say I'm good at it. I just have a brain that retains information. Yeah, I've got a little bit of flavor text to go through before we're out to sea, so by all means, go get your cup of tea. So we are a weary soldier, now a captain. We've gained 20 echoes, so that takes us up to 458. So that's a nice little amount to start with. Gained 25 iron, so we've got 50 iron. We've got the shady cook, and someone is looking for passage. The next step is choosing an ambition. So on top of picking your backstory, you also have a kind of ultimate goal that you want for that captain's playthrough. So this can range from your father's bones, or immortality, or fulfillment. So I'll go through them and I'll give you a brief kind of rundown on what they are before we go through one. So your father's bones. Your father was lost at sea. You never knew him, but you've often dreamed of him. Find and return his remains to London, apologies, for a decent burial. You've got immortality. Eternal life sounds like something you'd enjoy, and it's said that the presbyter, the ruler of the elder continent, has lived forever. So if you want to aim for living forever, you do need the submarine add-on to your ship, but we got that just before I died, So all we need to do is go down to Port Carnelian. We can turn our ship straight into a submarine. Although, given what happened with the terrifying nightmare spider, I'm going to say I might be alright with going underwater for a little while. I might leave that out for a little while. You've got fulfillment. Gather 100 tales, learn all you can of the Zee, write a masterpiece, retire. So if you're interested in kind of like digging into the nooks and crannies and the kind of really finding out more about the world and the kind of backstory and the kind of the lore of this game, I would suggest fulfillment. You've got wealth. You know how it is to be poor. Now you want a mansion, servants, fine clothes, a family perhaps. So that is your bog standard, let's get some cash, let's just grind this up and get some money. And then finally you've got a private kingdom. Establish a colony where you can be absolute ruler. A utopia perhaps. So you can't choose that when you start out, but you will discover a location that starts that chain in motion. So that is one that you can't choose, but again, it's worth bearing in mind because you will come across a location and the game will pretty much say you could build a colony here, and that's how you get the private kingdom kind of ambition. We are going to go for the most basic of ones, and wealth. We're going to go for wealth this run just because it's kind of the easiest goal to go for. And we ideally want to get some money together to be able to get a bigger boat, and then that will allow us to start doing the kind of higher quests. So we're going to go for wealth. The Underzee is full of riches, death and darkness too, but it's worth the gamble. To win, gather a substantial retirement fund, upgrade your lodgings to a mansion, and retire. So you've got to gather a bunch of money, buy the mansion, and then you have an option in the mansion to retire. And that's pretty much it. That's how you win the game, as that ambition. A last scrap of paperwork. Captain, an irregularity with the Harbour Master's office. They wish to know, what term of address do you prefer ashore? So this will determine what people call your captain, but your captain's gender is up to you. So you can have madam, sir, citizen, my lord, my lady, or captain. Since I'm playing as a veteran, I'm going to go with sir, because I feel like I probably earned some clout during that. Sir it is. A last piece of advice. Explore. Take chances. This captain will probably die. The Zee is hungry. But each captain passes on lessons to the next. And finally, we get to choose our icon, if you will. So I'm going to go with a bandaged man. And this is going to be Dave the Second. Help if I could spell. There we go. So that gets us into London with a whole bunch of menus. Apologies, I'm just having to fix something with the stream. Right, back in the room. For those of you watching, I do these streams once a week on a Friday. We normally go for a couple of hours. I do a couple other streams during the week, but if you're interested in the Sunless Sea, you're liking what you're watching so far, by all means, chuck us a follow. Like I say, every Friday evening time in the UK, so like GMT time, I'll do a couple hours. We normally do like a one run, so one run out from London to a bunch of locations and then back to London. The initial run got a little bit destroyed, shall we say, as I died, so we're going to do another run now, and again show you the kind of first little movements of the game, first little kind of choices in places you can go. But first, we've got a lot to explore when it comes to Fallen London. Fallen London, deep, dark and marvellous. All voyages start here, and this is where successful voyages end. So you've got the Submariners tutorial. I've already gone through this, but this tells you how to add the submarine mode to your ship. This originally was DLC in the PC version. In the console version, there's no DLC, no added extra. It's all lumped into one package that you can buy. There was plans for DLC on the console. There's some remnants of it in the game, but unfortunately none of that got finished. So it is a little bit kind of left out, which is a shame, but there is more than enough content in this game to keep you busy. It's a little indie game, but the amount of detail in world building, again, is just sublime. So the submarine will allow you to explore underwater and get killed by terrifying nightmare spiders. So to get that, you have to go down Port Carnelian and do a bunch of side quests, because I did that previously. Now any captain I play, all I need to do is go down to the port, ask the nice lady, and she will equip my ship. So we may actually run down there and get that in this run through. I probably won't use the submarine mode because, yeah, that spider, man, the constant companion, is terrifying. So how to convert your new captain's ship into a submarine. The fierce philanthropist runs a profitable enterprise, quietly converting ships to submarines in the old sapphire processing factory in Port Carnelian. Thanks to your predecessor's vital contribution to her business, she will apply the modifications to your vessel gratis. So you will not need to repeat. Like I say, you can just head on down there. So I have no need for this tutorial, so I can get that out of my way. You have a bunch of advice for captains. So if you're starting out the game for the first time, this gives you a bunch of breakdowns on combat, on how the ship works, and stuff like that. I'll actually go over this as we play, so I will skip this for now. But if you are starting out for the first time, I do encourage you to read this book. It will give you a bunch of information on the kind of basics of the gameplay. It will also tell you to go explore Fallen London, which is the browser-based game that this is a sequel, a side game. I don't know what you want to call it. It's in the same universe. There's a lot of kind of crossover between the two. I have honestly not delved too deeply into Fallen London. It's one of my many failings. But it is, if you have any interest in browser-based games, or you find the lore or world building of this game interesting, Fallen London has it in absolute spades. So I would advise you to go check that one as well. But for now, we are going to sell this book because we can get a little bit of coin for it if we're not using it. So we sell the book. Someone else will better appreciate M. Demuse's work, and that gives another 50 echoes, and it clears our menu. We have a passenger. Someone on the docks wants to board your ship. We can agree to carry the anxious university student to Hunter's Keep. He has no money, so the other captains have no interest, but he's a passionate youth and promises that his studies on lawn flukes will be rewarding enough. So we'll take him on. Welcome aboard. He jumps for joy as you agree to take him aboard. Thank you, thank you. Please take me to Hunter's Keep right away. A lawn fluke, a full dead lawn fluke washed ashore. I'm doing my thesis on them. Do you know how they can digest human memory? And I may never have a better chance to study one up close. So he wants us to go to Hunter's Keep, which is great. It's just up the road, or along the sea, if you will. So that's a nice easy quest. Also, thank you Fireflower Sims for the follow, and Nightly Echoes, as well as Earl Grey Tay. Appreciate the follows. This is just I've only been streaming for about a month, so I appreciate you giving me a follow. Like I say, be fantastic to see you guys next week for more Sunless Seas as well. So we've got London. She's the greatest city in the Underzee, and don't you forget it. You can visit the Admiralty's survey office. They'll pay for information from Z captains. Find out what and how. The Admiralty's picket fleets and intelligence networks are long gone. The survey office pays Z captains a small sum for recent information. Visit and investigate ports to gain port reports. So whenever you go to port, you normally have a good chance of being able to get a port report. You bring it back here and you can cash it in for a little bit of money and a little bit of fuel normally. So that kind of pays your fuel costs if you get enough port report. We can ask if there's anything in particular they need. Well, if we can be assured of your discretion. This port. Speak to our agent there and return. We'll see that you are rewarded. And they want us to go to Geodes in the Corsair's forest, somewhere not far from home waters. So that's good, because that's telling us that Geodes is quite close. You have to excuse me because I'm genuinely writing this stuff down on a bit of paper, because it's quite hard to keep track of all of the quests and requirements and stuff you need. So you genuinely do end up with a little kind of captain's logbook of locations and items and things. I've been doing it for video games since I was a little kid, and there's a certain charm in having a book full of stuff, lists of places and quests and stuff. I don't know if it's just me, but I find it quite charming. So they want us to go to Geodes, Hunter's Keep, and we can't speak to the Admiralty yet because we don't have any kind of pull with him. We don't have any favour. So if we ask for an appointment, once we've proven ourselves, we can visit the university, but we can't because we don't have any secrets or favours. We can carouse in Wolfstack docks, so that will reduce your terror when you come back to dock. Again, we don't have any terror, so we don't need to do that. It's not letting us do it. We can hire on more crew. Now your standard ship, as you can see up in the top left underneath my kind of character icon, has 8 out of 10 crew. You can go up to 10, but the more crew you have, the more supplies you will use. Conversely, the less crew you have, the less supplies you will use. If you get down to more than half crew, as you saw just before we got killed, your speed gets limited to kind of half speed. So there's a little bit of a balancing act between having as little crew as you can without running the risk of being stuck at half speed. We can put our ship in dry dock, but again, we've just started the game. Hull is at max. And we can offer a passage to a tomb colonist. An emigrant will pay to be taken north to Venderblight. It is oddly difficult to die in fallen London, but when a Londoner is too tatty and wretched to live, they wrap themselves in bandages and take ship for the tomb colonies. Your crew cart these Your crew cart these ones aboard in padded coffins. They'll sleep there until the journey is done. The tomb colonist is now in your hold, and that will add Venderblight to our list of places to go. I'm not going to write down Venderblight because that is basically one of the first places you want to go to in every run. You'll always get someone that wants to go there. And is there anything else we can do in London just now? No. Okay. So we have our lodgings. Because I had a will, I actually own a home, which is nice. We're not just having to pay for a room at an inn. So your lodgings, you may catch up here with your correspondence, rest or retire altogether from seafaring life. The better your lodgings, the better the quality of your retirement, naturally. So we can read the morning papers, the Unexpurgated Gazette, the magazine formerly known as the London Magazine, the Spiteful Trumpeter, News. News from abroad. The Khanate is threatening a war. They always are. London's colonies on the Carnelian coast want independence. They always do. The Underzee, the papers report, has undergone another alteration. Not yet, it hasn't. You'd know. Oh ho! A promotional coupon from Mrs. Plenty's Provisioners for a half cask of salt herring. You could use that. So that gets us some recent news, which is good to have in your pocket because you're able to trade it. And we've also gained 1 supply, which takes us up to 6. We can visit our study, but there's not much we can do there just because we've started the game out and we don't have many objects to do stuff. We can, however, write a will. So we go down past the creating almanacs and whispering trophy cases is create a will. That will cost us 200 echo, but it means I will retain the house, the lodgings if you will, and I won't have to buy that again. So I am going to drop that money now just to get us a will and keep me in house in case anything happens to me again. As you saw from earlier, you can die quite easily in this game. The court of chancery, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom it may devour. Ensure it doesn't get its lion tentacles on your property when you're gone. So we'll get a will. The lawyer peers at you like a vulture, composed of crocodiles. Come now, she creaks. There's a few years in you yet, but your caution does you credit. Sign here. No, ink is fine. This isn't the brass embassy. And that gets us a ironclad will. And we've only lost 100 echo, so I'm happy with that. You said 200. But I'll take the discount. I'll happily take the discount. And out the house. And there is not much we can do. We can consider retirement, but that you can retire at any point, but you won't if you've not fulfilled your ambition. It's kind of like a draw. You're not winning the game, but you're not losing. So back into London, and like I say, we have got the Labyrinth of Tigers, which is an option I didn't have before. The Labyrinth of Tigers is open under the patronage of the London Zoological Society to cautious visitors for educational purposes. Here you may see devil apes of far Mandalay, the thing in the mirror, the Cantigaster's children, the gargantuan cave snake, the inhabitor of wolves, the hybrid fiend. NB, the management recommends that you arrange your exit well before closing time. So we have an option to provide a rare creature for the labyrinth, which would require a harlot fry, which I'm struggling to think what that is. You can purchase a live specimen from the labyrinth. So it's kind of like a zoo for nightmarish horrors, if you will. Some would say that's just a zoo. You've got a shipyard that allows you to buy other ships. You've got the shops, which have a bunch of options going from weapons and lamps to engines to torpedoes, various kind of items you can bring to London to sell. But what we're going to do is go to Mrs. Plenty's Shipside Provisioners, a profitable sideline for the notorious carnival entrepreneurs. And we're going to buy some more fuel up to 15. And we're going to buy some supplies up to 10. That's taking us down to 278 echoes. Echoes is the currency in this game, and you can see it up in the top right hand corner of the screen just there. We have the cook, so we'll have a quick talk to the cook. Any officers you get given when you start the game have a fairly easy quest for you to do. So we'll speak to him and find out where it is. It normally involves just dropping them off somewhere. So we'll see what his deal is. He can render the supplies edible, if not palatable. What you're on? He might say more, but a coughing fit takes him. Eventually he straightens up and wipes his mouth slowly with his forearm. So we can ask him what he wants from life. Why did the shady cook choose to go to Z? Fouet, he looks at you directly in the eyes. Ciale, He repeats it more slowly. Sea of Lilies. He licks his lips very slowly. Eventually, you have to look away. And he wants us to go to the Sea of Lilies, which, as the game says, is somewhere towards the middle of the map. So I'll just pop that on our list of to-do stuff. But that is basically us all ready to go. We've explored everything we can in London as you start out. So our first stop is going to be Hunter's Keep. And this is where we get into the boat gameplay of the game, which is quite sedate unless you're close to death, in which case it genuinely is terrifying. As you can see, we've already discovered Hunter's Keep, so it's just outside. Hunter's Keep, a quiet isle, a grand old house. A hump of dark rock swathed in mist, like 100 other Underzee islands. But here's a grand house, windows aglow, lawns impeccably green and lush in the false starlight, raked gravel paths. You stand on the dock as the sea nudges the ship's sides. An unexpectedly warm breeze carries the faintest trace of lavender. So we can inspect the lawn fluke with the anxious university student. It lies on the shore just behind the hill. You can make out the fluke spikes over the grass. The anxious student rushes by you, whooping, but he stops on the hilltop. On the shore, standing before the mass of dead needles, is a drownie in a Nuncian postal uniform. He glowers up at you. This is not where the fluke belongs, the drownie cries in a plummy voice. It has to be taken elsewhere. It already has a delivery label. That means I have to deliver it. The student sneers. Sod your label. Sir, help me haul the beast to Station 3. My advisor at the college has arranged room there for its dissection and study. My work will benefit us all. So now we have to choose who the corpse goes to. There is only one fluke. They can't both have it. We can transport the lawn fluke to Station 3, or we can transport it to Nuncio. It is labelled already after it. The student is saying that it will be vital to his research, whereas the postie just wants to do his job. So I'm going to go with the student. We shall transport the lawn flake to Station 3. This is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, the student says. Loaded with extreme caution, the lawn fluke is tied, by very reluctant sailors, to drag behind your stern. On your deck, the anxious student twitches with delight. I can't believe what we have. His hand tightens on the railing. The drowny postman stares up at you both. It's natural for corpses to grimace, but when the corpse is still alive and is actively upset at you, it's additionally distressing. So that's got us Station 3 as another stop. I'm not sure we'll make Station 3 on tonight's rounds, but it's down. It's on the book. It's in the books. Whilst we're here, we will explore Hunter's Keep and present ourselves at the house. They will have heard your ship come in. Why hide? Knock and enter. A maid with smouldering topaz eyes shows you into the parlour where 3 young women wait. A visitor, the youngest cries. The next youngest chuckles. The eldest sighs. Do excuse the indecorum, she says. Visitors are rare. You are very welcome. I am Cynthia. The noisy one is Phoebe. The cheerful one is Lucy. You are in good time for lunch. Will you join us? So we can choose which of the sisters we would like to have lunch with. We can have lunch with Cynthia. She is the eldest, melancholy, pensive, occasionally dramatic. Or Lucy, the middle sister, who's funny, restless and prone to giggles. Or Phoebe. Phoebe is soft-voiced, watchful, unpredictable. Let's start with the oldest sister. Let's go with Cynthia and see what dinner is like with Cynthia. Cynthia grasps your arm and whispers to you. Her eyes are wide and blue. Her hair is wild and tangled. Bats might nest in it. It seems to you that you are sitting on a hillside above a wide blue lake, listening to a story of a murder, an axe, a net, blood on scented water. Another chop? Cynthia asks. You've barely touched your food. Here, I'll have the maid wrap up something for you. You can't be hungry. It's not safe to be hungry. So that's gained us a little bit of terror and a tale of terror. We've gained 1 supply. That takes us up to 11. We've now become a little bit acquainted with the sisters. We've lost 16 hunger, so that takes us down to 0. That's good. Iron remains unchanged at 50. And we now have the attention of one of the gods of the Zee, which is salt. As you can imagine, having a god's attention, not the best thing in the world. It's not something you particularly would want on your CV. Let's say that. Not receiving visitors. The parlour is empty. Where are the sisters? The maid makes it clear through a series of unwelcoming growls that Phoebe, Lucy and Cynthia are all 3 indisposed. No lunch today, apparently. But, because I picked up the newspaper in London and got some recent news, I can kind of grease the wheels. Even when the sisters aren't feeling sociable, they can be tempted out of their lair by the smell of news stories. So we knock and wait, and you ask the sulphur-eyed maid to carry a few hints of the news to the sisters. Oddly enough, she comes back with a message that their headaches are cured and you're invited to lunch. So that gives us a chance to have dinner with the sisters again. So this time we're going to go with Lucy, the middle sister. Lucy leans over and whispers to you confidentially a complex story about a butler, a pig, and an inheritance. You don't follow all the details of the plot, but somehow the pig ends up in the attic and the butler in the vicar's bed. Candles flicker, dishes enter and leave, and the wind butts gently at the window panes. By the time plum pudding arrives, you're as cheerful as you've been in months. So that will got us a little bit of terror down. Again, we're at 0 terror. We've gained another supply, and we now have the attention of stone as well as salt. We don't have any more news, so we can't bribe them with news. We can reconnoitre the island. Plunging cliffs, soft green lawns, a well tucked away in the fold of grounds. Anything else? The sea's silence. Ships rarely come here, nothing changes, even the weather. The house is the heart of the isle, the house and the sisters. But the Admiralty may be happy to know that nothing's changed, at least. And we now have one of this. This is a port report for Hunter's Keep. But that's not... We can't really do anything else here. There's no shops, there's no shipyard. So we're going to move on from Hunter's Keep and head on up to Venderblight, which should be just kind of here. As you can see, when you start the game, you have a completely blacked out map and you have to explore it all. Everything on the top, left and bottom sides of the map are static. They will not move. So London will always be there. Hunter's Keep will always be there. Venderblight will always be just a little bit north. Everything in the middle map can be shuffled around. So every time you die and you don't carry the charts across as a legacy, your map gets reset, everything gets shuffled around, and we're going to have to explore around to try and find Hunter's Keep and Station 3. Like I say, we may not find Station 3 tonight, but I'm hopeful that we can find Geodes Morn at least, because they did say that was quite close to London. But for now, we're going to head north up to Venderblight and see what the deal is with the tomb colonies. So you have these kind of little buoys or buoys that project a kind of bubble of light. When you're in that bubble of light, you won't have as much terror. So you can kind of leapfrog from light to light if you're suffering from high terror. We're still at the start of the game though, so we don't have to worry about our terror right now, especially after a couple of visits with the sisters. But like I say, Venderblight, just up the coast from London. It's normally your first place you want to go in a run, because that will open up some more quests. There's always a port report you can get there. It's just a nice little starter town. Excuse me. Apologies. The trouble with tomb colonists. You've brought this decaying emigrant north. Now what? One last fight. Your passenger has been drinking. Ahoy, she chartles. Defend yourself. She launches a tipsy assault. Your crew hang back, chuckling. Thanks, crew. So, because we've got decent iron, it's going to be a straightforward challenge of 100. An effortless defense. Tomb colonists have a lifetime of bitter experience. Some of them are the deadliest combatants under the earth. Possibly this one is, when she hasn't drunk quite so much rum. You'll never know. She salutes you laughing after you disarm her. Good fight, she opines. Then she staggers backwards and falls over the side. You never do find out what happened to her, but at least you have her rather magnificent cavalry sabre and her belongings. So we succeeded in an iron chance. We brought the tomb colonists to Venderblight, and we got an outlandish artifact from it. So with a collection of those, we could turn those into a heirloom to pass on to our successors for money, or we can use them as kind of items for quests and various other things. We've gained 1 iron, so that takes us up to 51. We've lost the colonist and we've gained 2 supplies, so it was worth bringing them up here. So the tomb colonies. Few die in London, or few die in fallen London rather. They come here instead. On deck you can hear the sound that 1,000 bandaged dead make as they shuffle and cough. It's something like the world's most restless concert audience, or the world's most plague-ridden cathedral. So we could assist the specialised collector, but we don't have the submarine add-on just yet, so we're going to have to leave that one for now. Any of the options that are locked here, they will normally tell you what you need in these kind of boxes. So as you can see, we don't have a submarine, so that's why that one is locked out. A weak call for help, which we can't do because again, we don't have a submarine. We could do a dusty glass of wine, but we've got very low terror, and that's a good way of reducing your terror. So what I would do is I'll go over the options, and then the options that we can pick, I'll read them out to you, and we'll kind of explore those avenues. So we can explore Venderblight, funnily enough. Here they favour candlelight over gaslight. The shadows are swagged like cobwebs. The tomb colonists stand still enough to be mistaken for sculpture until they laugh or cough. 1 building in 3 seems abandoned. You wander the echoing streets alone. From time to time the sensation of being watched comes upon you, but each time when you halt, you hear no other footsteps. Nothing eventful, only eerie, but when you return to the quayside, someone has left an odd, bulky box for you. There is no bill of lading, but the name of your ship is attached to a tag. So that's gotten us a soothing copper long box. Okay. They're quite useful if you're going to Station 3. So that's kind of quids in. But we've gained 1 terror. That takes us up to 2. As you can imagine, terror goes up to 100. If you reach 100, you're dead. So we can't do any of those. We can visit the first curator, however. Z Captains. The first curator gives audience. The first curator is responsible for the preservation of the tomb colonies. It has been here much longer than London, like all the oldest tomb colonists. But even tomb colonists dissolve in the end. It's time to close. Its time is close. Oh, sorry. No more light. Oh, that's a word. Obsequious. There we go. The obsequious steward cautions you. The curator is terribly afraid of moths. He opens the door, and you step into near darkness. A pair of luminous lamplighter bees buzz in a lattice ivory tube. There is no other source of light. A bandaged shape, no larger than a child, lies crumpled in a couch. It lifts its head with obvious effort. It takes several seconds for you to distinguish its voice from the soft buzz of the bees. So we can listen to a whispered request, or ask about the Grand Sanatorium, or accept the commission. So let's ask about the Grand Sanatorium. One hears the name whispered here and there in the arcades of Enderblight. A long, low chuckling emanates. Oh, Silkskin, you don't want to know. The chuckling becomes a cough. We don't die here below, not unless we go to Z. So we needed something else, somewhere to end. And we can listen to a whispered request. Z Captain, Silkskin, not much left of me. I will go into the Grand Sanatorium. Bring me colours, 7 colours. Pay, well. 7 colours? Cosmogon, Irigo, Pelegin. Steward has list. Find them here and there across the black wide sea. So we can accept this quest. Thank you. This poor flesh thirsts for colours. No more words. It collapses, rustling, back onto the couch. Even the effort of speaking seems to have diminished it a little. The audience is over. As the door opens, it shrinks from the finger of light that reaches across the floor. Outside, the obsequious, there we go, steward nods. The book? Yes, the book. He hands you a slim, illustrated volume. The curator is old as dust. We will all be grateful if you do it this one last favour. So that's gotten us the Neathbow, which is a kind of long-running background quest to find these, I'm not going to say imaginary colours, but colours that don't exist in our normal world. So the colour of Apoxian, or Cosmogon, Gant, Irigo, Pelegin, Violent, and Virik. You have to kind of figure out what these colours are and what items relate to these colours, but you will slowly assemble them and you bring them back to Venderblight. When you bring them back to Venderblight, that will get you the deeds to a steam yacht, which is a very nice kind of mid to late game ship that you can use. You can see the stats here, especially compared to my starting ship. It's got insane hull, it's got a great hold capacity, it's got a bonus to your mirrors, your veils, your pages and your hearts. The only downside is it doesn't have all of the slots, so it's got the same slots as our ship: the deck, the auxiliary, the bridge and the engines. I didn't actually show you the ship, so I will show you our ship quickly. Our ship is called Beatrice. That is randomly generated every time, and as you can see, you have slots for deck, forward, bridge, auxiliary, aft and engines. Aft and forward are greyed out because they're not available on this ship, although we could equip something to our auxiliary or bridge. You can get better weapons, you can get more weapons. Once you've got a gun on the back of your ship, that makes it very kind of combat friendly. Some of the higher ranking ships are real kind of tanks when it comes to the combat in this game. I'm just going to have a big drink of water because I've been saying a lot of words. Excuse me. And this is where you can also see your hold. So this will tell you what's in your cargo as well as your curiosities. Curiosities don't add towards the cargo limit. So this is where you'll keep stuff like outrageous artifacts, any kind of tales of terror, or any kind of things that you pick up that aren't physical kind of items to sell and trade. But you can still sell and trade these items in specialist shops, if that makes sense. As you can see, we've not got many officers. You've also got a journal. This does keep a track of all of your quests, all of your objectives. I find it easier to have a bit of pen and paper and just write this stuff down. But if you want something in-game that's keeping track of your quests, this is where you will find it, as well as anything like the attention of the gods of the sea or anything like that. It will also tell you you've got submarine available to collect or whatever, your terror, so on and so forth. Your accomplishments will grow as you do more stuff in the game as well. So we're just going to have a quick look through Vendor Blight, see if there's anything else. We're going to gather gossip. Who's plotting what out in the tomb colonies? Along the coasts of the Underzee, it's remarkably hard to die. The decrepit and nearly dead who leave London become tomb colonists and settle here in bandaged peace. But they don't give up their ties to home or their politics. You gather a haul of complex clues, enough to keep your contacts in London interested. And that gets us a little port report in Vendor Blight. And I did see something about the last tour operator. So this will replace 12 supplies with 12 tomb colonists who essentially want to go on a cruise around the Underzee. I'm not going to pick this quest just for now because it does require ideally a larger ship. But you can get a nice little payment from doing this one. But for now we're going to leave it. I will make a little note of that in my book though. And we may return to do the cruise ship, if you will. But for now, we're going to head on up past Vendor Blight and we get to see some combat in this game. So the kind of red arc is your firing solution, and as you can see, I'm just reversing back. Some nice, easy, kind of low-level enemies. As long as you keep reversing away, you keep your distance, they're not able to hit you. We only lost 5 damage. A bat swarm defeated. Little leathery corpses lie scattered across your deck. The rest of the swarm vanishes into the neathly dark. So we can gather up the corpses or dispose of the corpses. Gathering the corpses will give you supplies. Disposing of the corpses will reduce terror. We could do with the supplies, so we gather up the corpses. They are succulent with stolen blood. Into the pot. An unorthodox diet. All those little bones are troublesome and the flesh a little gamey, but salt them well enough and they are quite edible. So that gains us 1 supply and 1 terror. That's a nice little extra. And if you hold down square, again this is the PS4 version, that allows you to get rid of the stat bar and you get a bit more clear screen. Again, we're just going to go on a kind of little run. These streams I normally aim for like 2.5 hours. So I'll head up to the northernmost town on the west coast. I'll have a quick look for Gators Morn as we return to London, and then I'll probably call it a night at about, say, 11:30 GMT. So that's about 25 minutes, half an hour from now. Again, I appreciate anyone who is still watching from the raid. There is a link to my Discord and my YouTube on my Twitch page. My YouTube has the previous episodes of this playthrough. So there's a couple hours of content there if you want to check out my previous run before I got miffed and died. But again, I'll be doing this once a week on the Friday evenings. We'll spend a couple hours exploring the Neath and just getting our hands around all the great writing that's in this game. I know I sound like I'm blowing smoke up its bum, but genuinely, it's rare to find a game with such rich and enjoyable dialogue. I can only apologise that I am brutalising it with my bad pronunciations and so on. But we have reached Wither, a chilly city beside a waste of salt. Beyond the great arch over the bay, the pale wastes stretch, white and silent as the face of the moon. From there, you might almost imagine that they were snow. North of the city, the salt pools fizz with unlikely colour. So we will explore the town to start off with. Wither is a quiet, chilly town of grey stone enclosed courtyards. The people are neither exactly unfriendly, nor exactly hospitable. They have the irritating habit of answering a question with a question. Here and there are odd sights tucked away. The wind speaks. You fall into a reverie as you wander the shore. There are words in the wind, a story of sorts, of a gate in the north, of a pale light that began there, of a drowned light that will end there, of a high wilderness that other ships may sail. You lift your eyes. On the wall of a salt works, someone has scrawled, "Is there a sea more sunless?" Ah, they said the thing. They said the title. So that's got us the attention of Storm. So for those not keeping track, we now have the attention of all three of the gods: Salt, Storm, and Stone. Probably not great. We can gather intelligence. The citizens of Wither enjoy questions, so much that they are always answering a question with another question. This can make intelligence gathering frustrating. Are you asking for any particular reason? At what time of day? Is that your hat? Might it be 6? It could be 6. Eventually you cobble together enough implication and supposition to compose a report. And that gets us another port report. Again, port reports add to some money and some fuel when you get back to London. You also get Admiralty's favours, which are good to have. It's always good to have the Admiralty owing you. And we've got the option for Shore Leave and Wither, which is a 75 chance of success, and that would reduce some terror if we had some. We're only at 3 terror, so there's no need to do that right now. As for your shops, you've got Fortune and Fortune, who will sell you fuel, but only for these stories, not money. And you've got the Hunter's Cage, which again will sell you supplies for Tales of Terror. Or it will also buy things such as a anatomical cabinet, or the figurehead of the Eater of Names, a star shell, or the Stygian ivory. A lot of gothic inspired, gothic themed stuff in this game. And again, you slowly kind of piece together what the hell is going on in this vast, dark Underzee. But for now, we are going to move on from Wither. If we keep heading north, we will hit the top of the map, which is an option, but we're not going to do that just now because again it requires normally a better ship, better supplies. That white moving thing is I think they're called Lifeboats, yeah, and as you can see it's got 400 life, so we are going to keep away from that boy. Because they haven't got any ranged attacks, but they can kind of ram into you and cause you some nasty damage. And this is the kind of icebergs that are at the top of the map. Again, we've only gone this far in our run since I spawned. You would normally have a faster gameplay, but me reading everything out has kind of slowed it down. But if you're enjoying it, I appreciate you still watching. Again, I'm just happy to show off this little game that I love. We've got the settlement of Codex, an Isle of Answers. Codex, a desperate cave full of mute exiles and an inexplicable colony of shivering, bad-tempered monkeys. So if we had the submarine, we could agree to a damp request. If we had a searing enigma, we could acquire a doomed monster hunter. But for now, all we can do here really is compile a port report. No one will speak. This is a challenge. Silently forthright. The exiles see many come, fewer leave. Some are even willing to communicate, but their gestures are unfamiliar, the meanings unclear. Even when you can understand, these are answers without questions, as useless as a key without a lock. And we have a port report for Codex. Codex also has a shop, but they are just selling fuel and supplies at a little bit of a markup. So we're going to leave that for now. We will start heading south to see what awaits us next to London, this kind of area here. Every time you discover something, which is what is popping up in the bottom left hand of the screen, you will get some fragments. Fragments add up to secrets, and secrets can be used to buy things or improve your stats. So I think we're up to a couple of secrets now. If I check our journal quickly, our hold. Yes, we're up to 2 secrets now. Ooh, salt lions, that's good. A baked breeze rises. Oh. The improbable scent of some stone out of some distant desert. You are close to the salt lions. So, again, you've got a little kind of scout with the bats. Oh, not today, mate. Ship will automatically go into kind of combat mode when you've been detected by someone. I'm just hoping that that guy gets bored and goes away, because he's got a hull of 180, which means I could win, but it would be a protracted battle, and I'm not in the game. Oh, and that's the salt lions, just there, lovely stuff. He's got bored and headed away. There is a big crab down to our bottom left there. Oh, almost. Zeal Port. Salt lions. There is a vast sorrow in their empty eyes. 2 basalt beasts, cathedral-sized. They frown eternally at each other across the black waves. The north one carries an encampment. Creeping human figures eat away at its features like rot. Picking. There's a supply dock below. So we can visit the Unmakers. Muscular pick wielders rest on camp stools, watching you approach, passing hip flasks around, and an unctuous overseer beckons you to sit. Fungal tisane and tea cakes. We get funding from the bazaar, it's true, but Station 4? I wouldn't call us Station 4. That's a little grandiose. The stones are stuffed with secrets, but most of them are used to guard the sanctuary or occult ballast. Most of them. Some go down to the places under the bazaar. More tea cakes. So that gets us a little bit of terror reduction and a single fragment. We can compile a port report. Time, basalt, dissolution. Notes for the Admiralty. Record of the activities of the Unmakers such as they were. Rite of stone and silence. And that's a port report. And now we have the option to carry Sphinx Stone to London. The Unmakers are here to reduce the salt lions, to rubble. 1 block at a time. Help them in their work by carrying the rubble back to London. So you need a deposit and 20 units of cargo space. We've got a deposit, I just hope we've got a cargo space. If the stones weep, the Unmaker advises you, ignore them. Unless they flood your hold, of course, then you should probably drop them overboard. Don't tell anyone I said that. So we've got 20 Sphinx Stone, lost 200 Echo. And that's to be delivered back in London, which, considering we're going to be heading back there in the next kind of 10-15 minutes, that works nicely. There is no shops at the Salt Lions, so we will move on and see what is south of the Salt Lions. Again, I was really hoping for Geodes Morn to be around this location, but alas, I don't think it is. We're doing alright for fuel and food, as you can see up in the top left. Something underwater to the southwest. Well, I ain't got a submarine, so I can't do anything about that. Abbey Rock, okay. If my memory serves me correctly, Abbey Rock is near Station 3. So if we're lucky, we might be able to do Station 3. My only worry is we will run out of fuel. But we'll have a quick look into Abbey Rock. Here lies this Grim Sister's lair. A black spit of an island, far from anywhere anyone would want to go. And that's how the Sisterhood likes it. Here stands the Fortress Covenant. There are friendlier bear traps. There are bear traps that look friendlier than this. Apologies. So we can trade some supplies for echoes. Not a good price, mind. Resources on the are limited on this bleak island. The Sisterhood will pay a fair price for supplies. We can pile a port report. It's unlikely to be eventful. As always, nothing is happening. The sisters watch us. We feel their eyes. The sea crashes on the rocks, withdraws. The fortress stands stolid as the last year of a century. The greatest peril you risk is a certain purpleness of prose. I guess I say port report. We can search the surroundings. No, I'm going to save that. We can watch the Covenant, wait a while and see. Dangerous training. Like huge and deadly herons, the sisters stalk along the very tops of the walls. You watch for a spyglass as they leap and twirl, slashing at each other with a variety of frightening weapons. God, one of them just turned a somersault. And that gets us a little bit of fragments, and we can knock on the iron-studded gates. Although you have no recent news, nothing. Far away, a great bell tolls. Drizzle begins to fall. You sneeze. So that's all we can do right now for Abbey Rock. But if we're lucky, and we get past this crab, might be able to pop into Station 3, though that fuel situation is not looking good. Crab just there, but there we go. Just what I thought. Good old Station 3. Lucky we will have enough fuel to get back to London, if I'm lucky. Station 3. We may infer a Station 1 and a Station 2. We may conjecture a Station 4. Machinery hums behind high steel walls. Up the hill there are visible outlines of warehouses and a building with a spire. But the lamps are low where they burn it all, and your ship the only one in harbour. So we can deliver the lawn fluke and observe the student's experiment. He is terribly excited and requests your steadying presence to ensure he maintains the appropriate scientific detachment. After careful setup, the shed is empty, saving a writing desk and a gigantic mass of needles. The anxious student snaps off the tip of one and twirls it between his fingers. I hypothesize that the flukes have a method of absorbing and storing our lived experiences. It follows, therefore, that there should exist a means of transmitting, reliving that experience. Like so. He stabs the needle through his palm, his eyes dull. You heard Captain Harris, sailor. Target the Ogday and fire torpedoes, and if you hit one of them lawn flukes, then by God and Her Majesty, I will put you out of the airlock and let the spiny bastards take you. He awakens from a reverie a moment later, beaming. That will do. Pass me your notes. I'll carry on the experiment from here. So we have witnessed history, and we have two extraordinary implications. We can train our telescope on shore. It might be best to get a look from a distance. A church or something else. You stand on the high point of your ship and look to shore. There is a steepled building on the horizon, by far the largest thing in sight. No cross marks to the top of it, nor any other symbol you recognise. And we now have one of station... and now we have a port report for Station 3. And since we picked up that long box, we can actually deliver that as well. So, Brucey bonus. We can deliver the long box. The only way past the walls is an imposing but sturdy looking triple locked gate, silvery metal. A sign behind it reads Deliveries. The gate stands open. There are no stevedores, however, and no wagons waiting to help with the heavy cargo. There is only a sign which reads Deliveries, and a painted hand which points insolently up a rock-cut staircase. There is cargo in the hold marked for this destination, a long, low, heavy box. It'll be fun getting up the stairs, no doubt. Up a twisting staircase. There's a great deal of grumbling from the crew. The stairs are sharp-edged and wet. The box is heavy, and its contents inclined to shift. After a few slips and a bad bruise to the shin, you resort to placing crew members along the stairs and handing the box along. There is a warehouse at the top of the stairs, but it is not, apparently, your destination. Another sign points along the narrow path towards the building with the spire. Deliveries, it says, more aggressively this time. Someone in the spired building is singing. The song sets your teeth on edge. You have a long heavy box, a winding path ahead that runs perhaps quarter-mile through the mist, a crew that is beginning to mutter about having to do landlubber work. There's a warehouse just to your right, but the sign says deliveries are to be taken onward. Says it rather emphatically, in rather a fact. So we're going to try and carry the box onto the building with the spire. Going the extra distance might mean you can charge more for your efforts. A grudging reward. The path is slippery and lined with mushrooms. You and the crew have to stop 7 or 8 times to set down the boxes and blow on your hands. The closer you get, the less the building with the spire looks like a church. The walls are soot-blackened and made of brick. There are no windows, only narrow vents up near the roof. From these a low singing can be heard, a song so cheerful that your crew look at one another and frown. It is the song of someone keeping the monsters at bay. At last you are close enough to bang on the door. An austere acolyte answers it. She is dressed in black from head to foot. Her gloves are thick leather and her goggles are double glass. Leave the boxes at the door, she says to you, and turns back towards the building, singing her song. Something about candied kittens and flaming violets and the coming of spring. Judging by the rhyme, she's inventing the words as she goes along. You stop her and explain that you expect your extra work to be rewarded. She makes a grudging gesture, but complies. So we succeeded in that challenge. That got us 100 fragments, and we now have 5 of the acolyte's favour. The austere acolyte directs the arrangement of the long box in the room under the steeple.
There are many other boxes there already, stacked in rows, 3 or 4 times as many as you have brought. In another corner of the room is a pile of wood from previous boxes, already emptied and dismantled. Singing to herself about a mountain upholstered in velvet, she takes a crowbar to the box. The corpse inside is permanently dead, not in a way the dead of London often are not. Not a drowning, not a tomb colonist, but not coming back either. It looks pale and ordinary except for the slight distension of the skin over the breastbone. Gently the acolyte presses there and nods, singing about tulips embroidered with yellow floss. She lifts the body onto a marble slab. Without pause in her lyrics, she prepares a scalpel. Your presence does not seem to bother her. So we're going to watch. You've never heard of this practice before. Metal and metal. The austere acolyte extracts, deftly and with very little blood, the heart-shaped sphere of silver-grey metal. With a giant nutcracker, she cracks the sphere, and another sphere inside that, and another. Finally, in the centre, she comes to something heavy, small, and black. She lifts it out with tongs and looks at it through her goggles. The song falters, but she manages to keep humming, even though her words are lost. She puts the black and heavy thing into a jar marked with a word of correspondence. She closes the jar and seals it with red wax. Finally, when the corpse is removed again and the marble slab wiped clean, she comes to pay you. Thank you, she says. Return another day. I may have something else for you. So that got us a secret. We've got some more Station 3 kudos. And more kudos for the acolyte, but we've lost the copper box. And that's pretty much all we can do at Station 3. So that's nice. We've started the Station 3 train. I can actually tick that off my list. So of the 3 things that we wanted to do on this quest, on this trip, we didn't manage to find Geodes Morn or the Sea of Lilies, but we did manage to find Station 3. So it looks like those 2 may be next week's kind of what we're going to go for. Although this may be Geodes Morn. We might be in luck here, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'll be dilly damned. Come on. Hell yeah, which is good. I might have to buy fuel here, which won't be cheap, but lovely stuff. Corsair's Forest West. Step carefully. Geodes Morn. The Morn is a stalagmite vast as a crag, and its foot has no safe harbours. The Corsair's citadel nestles halfway up. An intricate system of winches takes the strain, and your ship rises slowly from the sea. Her hull creaks in protest. Grizzled sailors groan and cling to stanchions. Higher, higher. Now the Underzee shimmers like glass below. Children clambering in crevices cheer and wave alarmingly. The winch motor slows, and you hang in a cradle next to a red-bowed pirate cutter. So we could try our chances at the local pub, but given that we only have a 37% chance of succeeding, I ain't gonna risk it. I've been in pubs like that, and it never ends well. We can pay the loitering docker for his strategic information. Admiralty sent you? Price has gone up. It's not safe here. You'll pay the difference, won't ye? A grin. You're a generous soul. You'll have your reward the other side of the river one day. And here's a little reward for you now. Good sailing to ye. The report is barely legible. Perhaps it's part of the code? The Admiralty will know. So we lost 5 echo, but we've got our strategic information for the Admiralty. We can explore the Morn. There's a surprising quantity of actual landscape on the Morn. It's vertical, admittedly, but once you find the beast paths and urchin roads, you can traverse it as if you would a rocky moor, with the additional throatful of lurching terror. A high place, the sea like a rippled sheet of night green jade, the roof of the Neath above, bellied with stalactites and pricked with false star. Look out across the water. What are you thinking of? Your future? From up here, your future looks glorious, if not exactly bright. Your past, as a soldier, the years before you came to Zee, fighting the enemies of the reduced empire, losing good friends in the marshy borderlands of hell. All the wide black sea. Where does it end? Look north, look east. West lie the coasts of home. South is the elder continent. But what of the north, behind the ice? And the east? What vistas open beyond Irem and the King Eater's castle? That gets us a memory of the distant shore, which I'll happily take. I think we might be able to chance a gather intelligence, which, ooh, 30%. So that would allow us to do a port report, but at 30% chance, I'm not going to risk it. So we're over here, rumours of a pirate poet. Landlubbers fear pirates, pirates fear the poet. Lies, nonsense, glimmers. Some say she's a clayman who freed herself with the power of verse. Possible. Others insist she's the personal muse of the king with 100 hearts. Unlikely. One claims she sails on a living ship made of the still screaming skulls of her victims. More sober voices mutter that no, it's just an Alicasis class vessel. Whatever the truths, few have fought her and survived to tell the tale. Only the bravest of captains risk the lonely parts of the Zee where her flag is said to fly. Another afternoon at the errant Limpet. A drinking den by the dock cradles is a good place for you and your crew to find companionship and let off steam. But although Geodes is a free port, the Corsairs prefer their own and look askance at respectable Londoners. Cold shoulders at the errant Limpet. Conversation quietens as the drinkers look around. You've been here too long and you're attracting the wrong kind of attention. Time to move on. Which we will do. Now, I might have to buy a fuel at 30 just to get us back to London. But it's a straight line. Shouldn't be anything in between us and London. Nice, easy run back home. A wee little boat there, we just give him an avoid. Oh, he's a big boy. Oh dear. Come on. Oh, there's a lot of enemies between us and London. God damn. I was hoping I could just go in a straight line, but I'm having to duck, dive, dodge, and duck. Stretch now, I recognise that light ship.
Good old lightship. Home waters, sailors dawdle at the rail, watching for the lights of London. The lights of London welcome you home. Collect messages from the harbour master. All the clatter and song of the dockside, it soothes the soul. Are there messages for you? So if someone wants to sign on, we have a free evening and the Rose Market bustles. So the Rose's Wharf. The Rose Market caters to collectors and eccentrics. Anyone with exotic tastes and the gumption to harass sea captains. According to the archaic rules of the market, you can only make one trade per visit. Choose wisely. So this will give you some kind of like fetch quests. So the veteran Privy Councillor is seeking an outlandish artifact. He is there surveying curios from distant ports with palace servants and muted slippers. The Empress dislikes loud noises. Now because we have got a outlandish artifact, we can actually straight up trade that in. A collector of sorts, the veteran Privy Councillor holds a mirror behind the artifact and examines the reflection. Yes. Inferior to London workmanship, obviously, but it will make an acceptable conversation piece nonetheless. He snaps his fingers at a servant. Pay the captain. So that got us 150 echoes, but we lost the artifact for that, so fair enough. We have the Blind Bruiser. A little gift. My very fine evening to you, Captain. My what you might call mentor is very fond of adventurous sea captains, and he would like to offer you what you might call a dispensation. On account of he is so fond of sea captains. Behind the blind Bruiser, on the dock, stands a dray piled high with fuel and supplies. So you've got a choice to accept or decline this guy's nice invitation. We're going to inquire further. Who is this patron? Is there a catch? An airy wave. He runs a very fine and very liberal establishment just across the river, what is much patroned by sailors and men of wit and vinegar. A public house. And there is no obligation to speak of. My patron would hope that you might remember him kindly, and I suppose that if the opportunity should arise for you to return his kindness, then I do not imagine he would refuse your offer. So we're going to accept the dispensation, because early game it's always good to get more supplies. Do make sure you have at least 15 points of space in your hold, or come back later. It would be embarrassing to have to leave it on the dock. So what we will do is go to London. We will deliver the Sphinx Stone, because I don't know if you forgot about that. Special constables, black uniforms, distinctive caps, the badge of the Ministry of Public Decency, wait with a cart. Sign, sign, sign. Here's a receipt. Here's a discretion contract. Here's a penalty contract. Your vision is blurred by the end of it all. The cart rumbles off into the coiling fog. Here's your reward. So we get a profit of 200 echoes on that. And that's cleared out the Sphinx Stone. It's also lost us a bit of terror from the Sphinx Stone. So we'll go back to the Blind Bruiser and accept his dispensation. A courteous nod. Well, my patron hopes that you find these little gifts to your liking, and he expects that perhaps Monday you might choose to call on him at the Medusa's Head. Should that day come, we will make you very welcome, and might give you any safe conduct what you might require. Good evening to you. He salutes and is gone. So he's given us 10 fuel, 5 supplies, and we have accepted the proposal. But it has given us a bit of suspicion by the police. So we're in London. Whilst we're here, we will go to
the Admiralty's survey office and hand in our port reports. The Admiralty's picket fleets and intelligence networks are long gone. The survey office pays Z captains a small sum for recent information. Hunter's Keep. I trust the sisters are keeping well. They are citizens of Her Enduring Majesty, notionally. So you submit your port report, you get 5 echoes. The money amount can change, a little bit more, a little bit less, but it's normally about 5 to 20 echoes. You get an Admiralty's favour. You get a achievement, or an achievement in game, not a kind of Xbox achievement, and you gain 1 fuel. Vendor Blight. What have the nearly dead been up to then? Again, 10 echoes, a favour, a fuel. Wither. I refuse to ask any questions. I don't want to give them satisfaction. 20 echoes and a fuel. Station 3. Excuse me, I just have to call a colleague in. Omitted. This is my colleague, Mr. Villain, of the Ministry of Public Decency. Mr. Villain, this good captain's report is here. If you would care to... Yes, the fire is already lit. Let us... There we go. Now only ashes remain, and it might have caused such a lot of trouble. Thank you, Captain. We appreciate your discretion. Here is your payment. You need not trouble yourself further in this affair. So that gets us 100 echoes, and a fuel and a favour. Abbey Rock. We categorise it as a military installation, you know, although that has occasioned some quite vigorous debate. And that gets us another 20, another fuel, Codex. Exiled for giving answers. Well, that's Wither for you. Anything new? And 20 and a fuel. The Salt Lions. The Bazaar has always taken an interest in that place. Another 20, another fuel. And we've got our strategic information, which we just picked up in the Corsair's forest. What's that? Indeed, indeed. I'll send you up directly to speak to the Admiral himself. The Dark Speckled Admiral. You are ushered into his office off Mansion's Pyre, a cramped room with a vast desk. He surveys you across that desk. Ah yes, the merchant captain, of whom we hear such complicated things. So the Admiralty's favours that we've been getting with the port reports, you can kind of cash them in with this dude. So you can ask with assistance, but we are going to pass on the strategic information. The Admiral sits up, and although he steeples his fingers and pretends calm. He's hard to read with those glasses, but he reads the summary intently. Satisfactory, he says at last. Eminently satisfactory, actually. Good work. Take this for your trouble. The clerk will see you paid. So that lost us the strategic information, but it got us 150 echoes, baby. So we're up to 1,000 already. So this has been a nicely profitable run. We can submit vital intelligence if we get it, or a port report, or we can ask him if there's anything in particular he needs. So he wants us to go to the Chelonate, far to the east. So I will stick that on our list. And that's all we can do with the Admiral for now. So we will go back to London. We will carouse in the docks for 10 echo. It will reduce our terror. A marvellous night out. Sea shanties, fine food, and the warmth of a pub fire. And something more. So I was fortunate. I lost 5 terror echo. And I met a lovely romantic interest. That night at Wolfstack, you find yourself sharing a table with a likely lass. She tipsily claims to be a spy. Whatever she is, she's easy to like, and when the evening ends, you're still together. An interlude. The next morning, she gives you a pewter locket. As you reach for it, she grips it briefly in her fist. Don't you dare forget me, she says. So now we've got a little bit of a thing going on with a likely lass. And we've lost the last remaining vestiges of our terror. So we're down to 0. Lovely stuff. So we are going to go to the dry dock. And then what we will do is go down to... There's several options here. It depends on how much you want to repair and how much you want to pay. But if you've been getting Admiralty's favours through the port reports, you can go to the Admiralty yards, and for 25 echoes, they will completely fix your ship. You may call some of the Admiralty favours to have cheap, good quality work done on your ship. All shall be well, and all manner of things shall be well, very quickly. 24 echoes, and we're back up to 75 hull. So we'll have a quick look, see if there's anything else we can do in London. A new recruit. Who awaits your attention? The brisk campaigner. Hoi, you! You need a real physician. None of your surgeons. The brisk campaigner is a skilled doctor who increases hearts and iron. So for 50 echoes we can pick up a doctor, which we're going to do because we don't have a doctor at the moment. Welcome aboard. If you... Don't you have anywhere cleaner? Well, if I must do it myself, where can I find a mop? So that's all we can do in London at the moment, it looks like. We have picked all the options there. Not going to pick up any more crew. We can investigate, however, the university. So the university has an inexhaustible appetite for secrets, Z specimens, and other tidbits of esoteric lore. Provide a secret to prove yourself worthy of entry. Quite impressed. Oh yes, the university's maritime liaison whispers breathily. Oh yes, this is quite a tasty one. Let me explain it to you. He explains, teeth glinting. So we've lost one of our secrets, but we now have a favour with the antiquarian. And we've gained a page. The alarming scholar is mercurial, to say the least. A creature of hidden moods and provoking teeth. Possibly her, is it her? Appointment to the University Maritime Liaison was precautionary, to keep his, is it his, razor-sharp enthusiasm from causing too many injuries in the faculty. Ah yes, the scholar whispers breathily. I have a budget for acquisitions. What have you brought me? So you can bring her a bunch of stuff and trade them for echoes, favours, usual kind of stuff. So we've got a memory of distant shores, a piquant piece of picturesque pilgrimage. Wells of emotion. As the alarming scholar listens, tears well in the depths of those shining, or is it blazing, eyes. They overflow, splashing onto the desk blotter. Stop, she sobs at last. This is too beautiful. Allow me to bring the macaw of memories. I wish each individual tone recalled. So we lost our distant memory, but we gained 10 echo for that one. Is there anything else? Oh, we can give them a extraordinary implication. What a tantalizing crumb. The scent of secrets. I will place it with the others. One day, I will have enough. So that gained us 250 echoes. We've got a couple more favours with the antiquarian. And we've gained a couple of fragments. We've got another extraordinary implication we give them. That gets us another 250 echo. Alright. Leave the university. You have business to attend to, and besides, the scholar keeps snapping his/her teeth like a mechanical trap. So that now is everything we can do in London done. So we'll have a quick look in our lodgings. Our terror's at 0, so we don't need to rest. We're not going to sell our house. We can't afford to get a mansion yet, because that is what? 10,000. So our goal in this playthrough, or this captain, is wealth. So we're going to want a mansion, so we need at least 10,000 echo. But there isn't anything we can do unless... Can we check the news at our lodgings? No, we cannot. Okay. The Labyrinth of Tigers. We can buy a live specimen. Okay. Well, I'm not sure what that does, so I'm going to leave that for now. So I'll have a quick look at our situation. 18 fuel, 14 supplies. So I'm just going to go ahead and round that off to 20 and 15, because those are kind of my comfort numbers. And we'll have a quick talk to the brisk campaigner. She's marched with armies and cured generals. Don't annoy her. And equip her to our surgeon. That gets us +6 hearts, +3 iron. We now have a doctor aboard, which will open up dialogue choices. Sit down there. I'll be with you in a moment, Captain. So we can increase our hearts, which costs a secret. Or we can invite her to dine with us, which we can't do because we don't have any mute assault. So I will put mute assault on the list of items we need. But for now, we can't do much with the campaigner. And as you can see, in London, you have a large selection of ships. Ideally, I would like to get up to the Forsyth class, which has a larger hull, more slots. Doesn't have a larger hull capacity though. You've got a purely kind of cargo ship, that's your big all-rounder, and then the dreadnought is your combat ship, if you're inclined. There is also a little baby combat ship, which would be the Lampad. I have a friend who plays this game who loves the Lampad, swears by it, but the whole capacity is only 30, so you can only have 30 cargo. I find that's just a bit too small. The Beatrice, which is the one we've already got, and then there's the Symphalios, which is just like a life raft. If you want to give yourself a real challenge playing this game, I guess you could pick this boat, but it's got a hold capacity of 5, so, and a hull of 1. So you get hit once, you're dead. But that is going to be where we call it for a day. Now, remember, launch and dock so you can save your game. I am actually playing on Invictus mode, which means there's no manual saving, it's only auto saving. So before you finish the game, you always want to just head out of port, head back into port so you get a quick auto save. But that's going to be where I call it a night tonight. Those that joined from the raid from Earl Grey Tay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you've enjoyed Sunless Sea. It's a great little game. Like I say, I'll do it next Friday, kind of evening time GMT. I'll be back on for another 2-3 hours. We'll go exploring. We've got a couple of things on the list to do. We've got to get some mute assault. We've got to go to the Sea of Lilies and the Chelonate. So I think what we will do is a big kind of tour out into the far east of the map and see if we can find the Chelonate. But thank you very much for watching. I also stream Battlestar Galactica Deadlock, which is a great indie game using the Battlestar Galactica license on Sunday. So if that interests you at all, please come join. It'd be a pleasure to have you. If not, I hope to see you again next week, where we will explore the sea and hopefully not get killed by any monstrous spiders or jellyfish like we did this time. Thank you all for watching. It's been a pleasure, and I'll catch you on the next stream.